Mr. Schatz, you got an initiative similar to the Kimberley process, and you would like to present that initiative. So I would like you to take a couple of minutes to talk about your initiative, and then tell us who's behind that, and what are you expecting from Congolese stakeholders to back that initiative.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
I just would like to pick on where Claude ended. The main question, what Eve pointed out at the beginning, is how can we overcome the African paradox? And what can we do in order to make sure that everything what is here available in the continent, that it is used for the sake of the continent and the people of the continent. Claude was referencing to the Kimberley process. And I'm very happy to announce today that the US ambassador, J.D. Bindernagel, who managed to bring the Kimberley process to a success, that at least the diamonds which exist in Africa can be sold at a market price, that he is willing to come to Kinshasa and do it one more time, although JD is retired. But the Japanese government, the UAE leaders, as well as the Germans, were able to convince him to do it one more time. And why is this so important? If you close your eyes and you beam yourself back 50 years ago, these were the days when people were recognizing that in one region of the world, where there was only sand and nothing else, that they found oil. This region is known as the UAE. And we all know how Dubai looks today. But this was not how Dubai was looking 50 years ago. When they found out that there is oil in the ground, the German government didn't do anything, nor the American government, nor the French, or any other, except for one, the Japanese. The Japanese sent a delegate to meet with a sheikh, and when he saw the sheikh, he gave him a check. And in the check, the number was empty. And the delegate said, "This is my regards from the Prime Minister of Japan. I assure you, we are going to buy 40% of whatever comes out of your ground. And it is on you to define how much we will pay for the 40%. You can fill it out. And my promise to you and to your people is we will never, ever negotiate on the price." This was 50 years ago. This happens now since 50 years, and the UAE is celebrating 50 years of UAE. And you know how they have developed, because a country like Japan was willing to form a partnership which truly deserves the term partnership. It was good for both. It was meeting equal, although at the time when he handed over the check, there was only sand. Now I'm very grateful to share with you that the same players, the Japanese government, together with UAE and the German government, says, let's do this again. Let's do this for cobalt. Let's do this for copper. Let's do this for lithium. Let's do this for gold. And over the last 18 months, we negotiated, I hope, a good starting point, which we were able to bring to Kinshasa, and we were able to sign it with a special advisor of the president 2 days ago at the presidency here in Congo. in order to get started, to have J.D. Bindernagel come to Kinshasa and come as often as it takes to come with a result which is like the Kimberley process. Now the question was, who is behind this? You all have heard about the Nobel Peace Prize, yes? You might remember one or two. But if I would ask you, do you think that there was one person on the planet who received the Nobel Peace Prize 2 times? You would say, I haven't heard of that person. Me neither. But this guy is existing. It is Professor Taniguchi. He worked very closely with Kofi Annan, first in order to overcome the problems from the nuclear power energy, including the nuclear power weapons. And for his work, he received the Peace Nobel Prize in 2005. Then Mr. Annan appointed him to become in charge of the climate conference, of the COP, which you now know, but back then the COP was not known. And because of this work, he received the Peace Nobel Prize again, together with Al Gore. So it is Professor Taniguchi who is behind the Kinshasa process. I think you can't have a better chairman who is willing to help you conclude on this effort, because it is one thing to use the term Kinshasa process. It is a complete second thing to really make it work. And in order to make it work, that was the second question, what might be against it? What might be against this is the typical reality in Congo. Let's be frank. There were quite a number of solutions offered. There are a number of solutions existing, but not always these solutions really materialize. Why? Because it always takes 2 to tango. It needs a good heart. And we need to end this battle that there are always people behind the fences shooting those who have a good idea first. And where one is envy that this person had the idea and not me or somebody else. We need to stop this. We need to work together. I spent a lot of time with Bishop Milenge. I spent a lot of time in the universities here in the country. I spent a lot of time with the civil society. We need to do this together in the spirit of, yes, we can do this together. Because if we don't do this together, it will not fly. And I would feel ashamed asking Professor Bindernagel to come all these 10,000 kilometers to Kinshasa, spending time with you. Now, the last question, what makes me believe that we can do that? You can hear from my horrible English that I'm a German. I'm sorry for that. But you know from our history that my country was divided by a wall. And not only by a wall, but by soldiers in machine guns, making sure that the people from the East would never be able to meet with me and with my families in the West. When I crossed this border the first time at the age of 10, I was so shocked because I wasn't thinking that this is existing. And I came home to my father, who was not allowed to travel with me because he was a journalist. And the worst people on the planet are journalists, as you know. So I went back to my father and said, we need to change this. And my father reacted as a typical father. Little boy, you need to pick goals which are realistic. This wall will stay forever. And I continued traveling to the east. 14 years later, on November 9th, the wall came down. You all remember that. And when you experience this, you have this virus of, yes, we can. And this virus is stronger than COVID.
All right, Mr.
That's why I believe
Schatz,
we can do this.
we're going to hand on that emotional tone, and we look forward to have your initiative launched, and we wish you well. Thank you very much.